Hello, it's Monday, and we're going to do Granny Shares, chapter 2 of Ruth, starting with verse 18. And she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her that she had reserved after she was sufficed. And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where hast thou gleaned today? And where wroughtest thou? Wroughtest is a past tense of work. Where did you work? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought, and said, The man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz. And Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, Blessed be he of the Lord, who hath not left off his kindness to the living and to the dead. And Naomi said unto her, The man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen. I can almost hear in Naomi's voice what she was already planning. Yep. You want me to tell you why? Let's tell you why. Let's look over here to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 25 and 5. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. Okay? So this was part of the law. Deuteronomy means the second time the Lord is told the law, and this is part of the law. And so, I think Naomi was thinking something when she said, The man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen. He must have been a cousin, maybe to Naomi, or a nephew. Seems like maybe, because he's an older man, he might have been around in the same generation as Naomi, and younger. He is younger than Ruth. So we find that out a little later in here, that he's younger, that she's younger than he is. Okay, so the man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen. So Naomi was saying what probably was going through her mind. And Ruth the Moabitess said, He said unto me also, Thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest. And Naomi said unto Ruth her daughter-in-law, It is good, my daughter, that thou go out with his maidens, that they meet thee not in another field. So she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz to glean unto the end of barley harvest and of wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law. So all those days of the harvest, Ruth is going out there where she is seeing Boaz and perhaps talking to Boaz. We don't know what all is going on because we don't hear about it. We'll just hear about that that she worked in his fields from then on. And Naomi was glad. Now, see, you can see her name is still called Naomi. They didn't call her Mara. You know, we think my life's just going to be bitter from now on. And then something wonderful happens because God says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. So we know that it was going to work together for good for her. It was going to work together for good for her. And so they didn't call her Mara, they called her Naomi. And so Ruth just kept going in and out every day and working, probably every day but the Sabbath, working every day in Boaz's fields with his maidens. Chapter 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? Naomi had a plan. She had a plan. And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? He's our kindred. He's one of Elimelech's, perhaps brother's son, something like that, I don't know. Behold, he winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor, meaning he's getting the husk off the barley and getting it all cleaned up to store. She said, wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee. I'm having a hard time reading for some reason today, so just excuse me. Wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor. And make not thyself known unto the man until he shall have done eating and drinking. And it shall be, when he lieth down, that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he shall tell thee what thou shalt do. Ooh, that's bold. I think Naomi must have been a woman kind of like me. Sometimes it takes bold moves. Sometimes it does. And sometimes you can get in trouble with your bold moves. But sometimes you can get, like Brother Don preached last night, a wonderful victory. A great victory. An overwhelming victory, he said. That's what David did when he went out and faced the giant. So, you know, there's times when you need to make some bold moves. And here's a bold move that she's telling Ruth, her daughter-in-law, to make. And she said unto her, all that thou sayest unto me, I will do. What is Ruth? Ruth is a great example of a follower, isn't she? A disciple. She was someone that was true to Naomi and trusted her. She trusted her. And Naomi knew she trusted her. And Naomi felt like she knew that Boaz would do right. You know, they had been coming and going. I don't know if Boaz had ever been to see Naomi, but they'd been coming and going all through these harvests. So we don't really know what happened in the middle of all that, but somewhere Naomi had the thought that Boaz was going to do right by their family. He'd been sending them food. So, okay, chapter 3 and verse 6. And she went down under the floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law bade her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn. And she came softly and uncovered his feet, and laid her down. What a picture. Here he is, tired. Feels good because he just ate and drank, and he's merry. So he's ready to go to sleep. At the end of the heap of corn, she saw him. She went softly and she uncovered his feet and laid her down. There she is. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid and turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. You can just see him startling up because he felt somebody about down there at his feet and pulling the covers off, and there she is. And he said, Who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. She knew too. She knew what she was doing. She knew the law. And she knew that this was a godly man. and that it was his part to do. And he said, Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast showed more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning, inasmuch that thou followest not young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou requirest. For all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. And now it is true that I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit there is a kinsman nearer than I. Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning, that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman, well, let him do the kinsman's part. But if he will not do the part of a kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee, as the Lord liveth. Lie down until the morning. Isn't that sweet? It is. It is. Thou followest not young men, neither poor or rich. In other words, you're not trying to find you a mate among the reapers or a mate among any of these. You're trying to fulfill the law. Let God's will be done. You're wanting that. She had a good counselor, didn't she? She had Naomi. And Naomi was counseling her to seek a kinsman, because then he would bring up his son in the name of Mahlon. And it worked. So far it's working anyhow. Except he said there is a kinsman nearer than I. So he was going to make sure that he could do the part of a kinsman. Verse 14. And she lay at his feet until the morning, and she rose up before one could know another. And he said, Let it not be known that a woman came into the floor. He's telling his men that. Also he said, Bring the veil that thou hast upon thee, and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 measures of barley, and laid it on her, and she went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, Who art thou, my daughter? And she told her all that the man had done to her. You know, that was a strange question. Who art thou, my daughter? Who art thou, my daughter? Who are you now? Who are you now? Naomi is a wise lady, isn't she? Very wise woman. And then Ruth told her all about what Boaz had said, what he was doing. And she said, These 6 measures of barley gave he me, for he said to me, Go not empty unto thy mother-in-law. Ruth was true to her mother-in-law, and Boaz knew it. And Boaz probably knew that she was in the counsel of the mother-in-law, Naomi. You know, I've sometimes thought that Naomi and Boaz were about the same age, and that perhaps they had been friends, or were friends. And as kinsmen can be friends. You know, he was married to Elimelech. Perhaps Boaz and Elimelech were buddies, cousins and buddies. And he cared for Naomi's behalf, and Ruth was taking care of her. And so he was taking care of Naomi through Ruth, his buddy's wife, his cousin's wife. Then said she, Sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. for the man will not be in rest until he have finished the thing this day. Ooh. Don't you just love when things work out like this? Good things. I think Ruth is one of the most joyful books in the Bible. And I love it. So we'll see what happens tomorrow in chapter 4. God bless you.